We're stood next to a Vickers Wellington T10, one of only 2 Wellingtons remaining out of 11,460-ish that were manufactured during the war. What you see we've done here on display, we've obviously left the turret off. And the reason behind that is I was asked many times, how can we show off the beautiful geodetic structure? And the initial thought was cover in the Irish linen, cut a section out so people would see it, and I really didn't want that to happen. So when we sat down and thought about it, the obvious thing to do was to leave the turret off. So you get a great shot up through the tunnel, see all the geodetic structure. My volunteer team have lit that up as well, so as you approach it, it all lights up nicely. And what we've also done then is shown off the turret on this side here, just show how narrow it is for the airmen to get in. Actually, someone my size probably wouldn't stand a chance. One of the other things we've done as well, just so the public get to understand geodetic, we've had a piece manufactured or fabricated on the bench to look like geodetic structure. So they've got the touchy-feel, you can feel what it looks like, see the strength. And importantly as well, because it's a fabric-covered aeroplane, we've got some raw Irish linen in this side, and over here we've got some that's gone through the doping process. So, you know, a great visual and also hands-on for the public to look at. Okay, so here's a great example of the Irish linen covering. What you can see is if you can see these lines here, what you've got to remember is you've got a metal frame, and obviously fabric going on a metal frame, you're going to get chafing. So what you've got here is baton, little wooden batons, not particularly thick, but just enough to give that clearance between the metal structure and the fabric. Of course, once the fabric is gone on, there's the magical process then of shrinking it down so it becomes taut. In the book, it's quite a lot of processes. It's about 11 applications, including UV, microwave protection, various dopes, and then you put your final scheme on top. And what also you can see when you look at it as well, there's a line down through here. There was a little bit of thought about how to put the Irish linen onto the aeroplane, and so if the linen was to rip, it can only go as far as there. So it's only the width of the linen. You can actually get a tear if the skin was to break. Okay, so we're at the back of the wing now, and just to say that the Wellington is not completely covered in Irish linen. There is some metal. So the inner wing section, so from here to here, that's your good old duralumin. Then from there outboard, the rest of it is a geodetic structure and Irish linen as well. So here we have one of the early engines from the early Wellingtons. This is the Bristol Pegasus, and as the airplane developed, they went on to a bigger, more powerful engine that we have fitted here, which is the Bristol Hercules. So this was initially on display at our London Museum, and we had to road transport it up here. So it was disassemble outer wings off, engines off, as you'd expect. But the big headache was getting this sort of huge, big geodetic structure, the fuselage, onto a transportation. So the metalworker in the MBCC went down there, come back with this design and made this bespoke trolley, which was absolutely perfect for the job. Allowed us to wheel it around, but more importantly as well, it got the fuselage low enough so we could crack that 16 feet height once she was on a wagon to bring her up the British motorways. I've been very, very fortunate over the years working on the airplanes and with my role to meet a lot of the aircrew, people that made them in the war, or the aircrew that flew them in the war. And I remember one visit during an MBCC Open Week, a gent who was in his 90s, came with his family. There were 3-4 generations of the family. Come up, met me, and he said, oh, I was an air gunner on the Wellingtons, used to be in the rear turrets of this one. Had the family, and then all of a sudden he just turned around and a real gem and said to his family, I've never told you before. 35 operations flying out of North Africa in Wellingtons. 5 times he bailed out. So that's 1 in 7 flights. And you could just imagine the family reaction. It was sort of frozen solid. It was that, you know, I've been very fortunate over the years to meet various people with these sort of stories, but I'd say, to me, that's one of the top stories I've ever heard about any aeroplane that I've worked on. Okay, so now we're obviously inside the fuselage, and what you can see on the sidewalls now between the metal geodetic structure and the fabric is the wooden batons that act as like an anti-chafe. The other equipment's in here, your flying controls, just a handhold wire, string wire rope for the crew to get up and down. We've done very, very little in here apart from just clean it up, really. When an aeroplane sits around in a hangar on public display, it gets dirty, very much like anything will get dirty and dusty. So we really give it a good clean and did very, very little inside here. So, you know, it's original as really when it came to the museum. One of the interesting things as well is you'll just see the narrowness of the walkway down through the middle here. So certain areas where it's almost like walking on your loft. If you miss the wooden walkway, you'll put your foot through, just like you would in a loft. And again, the other thing to think about as well is picture yourself as being a rear gunner. Typically, from where I'm sitting, probably about halfway down from the after the wing. There's a bulkhead there, and then the gunner, and that's it. The next closest person is the other side of that bulkhead. So the rear gunner is a long, long way away. But then put yourself in the picture that airplane's being attacked and the rear gunner's got to get out. He doesn't. The turret is that small, he can't wear the chute, so he physically has to get out and put his chute on and then get overboard. Maybe possible to sort of rotate the turret to create a little bit of an opening to go out of. Failing that, he's got to come in. This assault course, which has just gone dark. We could do with a member of the public to walk past. Ah, there we go. Thank you, Paul. Walk past and get to the opening right below us here and go out there. So, you know, it's not just obviously if an airplane's going down or in an air battle and he's being told to get out, it's just not flying straight and level. So you've got to take all that in consideration. Harrowing, yeah. Brave, yeah, absolutely. Hats off to them, salute the whole lot of them that flew any of these machines in the war. Now we're in the main part of the cabin. With this being a T10, it's got the bench seat and the bench here, and that's because they were training aircrew. So not all variations of the Wellington were like this inside. But the one thing I want to show you and discuss is this. If you've ever been fortunate enough to go inside any of the big bombers, say, let's say the Lancaster, to get from the back of the wing to the front of the wing, effectively where we are now, it's an assault course. And normally very low headroom, and you have to be very agile. The nice thing about the Wellington design, it literally is this. So it's just like jumping over your garden gate, next to nothing to climb over. So again, the Wellington had the advantage of being an easy aeroplane to get from one side to the other. I did quite a few tours of the Wellington when it was in the Conservation Centre, and still doing it now with the Hampden that we've got in there. One thing I tend to say to people is, and show them on the Hampden, we've got 10 bullet holes on one side. But then I say to them, so if you were in a Hampden, which is a metal covered aeroplane, or the Wellington, which is a fabric one, which would you prefer to be in the war? If you had to be, obviously. I would say 99% of people will go the metal one. Then I take them around the other side and show them that there's only one exit hole. What does that mean? You've got 9 pinging around. But if you think about in a canvas aeroplane, bullet comes through there. As long as it doesn't hit any of the metal, it will go straight out the other side. So in my mind, the Wellington is a safer aeroplane if you're being shot at.